So I know you all have to probably click accept that it's being recorded. So thank you all again for joining us to our very first 2023 Ambassadors Zoom meeting. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, so I didn't comply at all with the colors we're supposed to use here at MWM, but I thought this is my ambassadors and I want to talk to you and sort of give you an exciting update on what 2023 looks to be from our end. So again, welcome. We're going to make this year a memorable year. So what I wanted to do first through the course of this meeting is sort of give you some updates and a bit of an overview, things that I'm thinking about, but then I want to hear from you guys. So if you'll hold those thoughts, take any questions down, let me get through, it's like 7 slides, and then we'll open up for questions and then learn what do we need to do to help and support you with what you're doing. So first things first, huge thank you to every one of you that give your time and your money in support of what you do, driving your car, making copies of things, spending time with other women veterans, encouraging them to, one, register and just even know that they have a memorial, a national memorial that is theirs. So thank you for doing that. We've got 4 big things I want to talk about, and I'm sure there's more that you want to share with me and I want to hear them. We're kicking off a 2023 national registration campaign. We've got a big goal in mind for that. New information about what we're thinking about doing with Wreaths Across America, but I need to know if you guys are interested in doing it. The last thing, well, the third thing we'll be doing is we're going to do an online raffle for an absolutely gorgeous quilt. And then we're planning a cruise. Some people that follow me on Facebook saw that I was on a cruise recently. We've got a fantastic opportunity in April of 2024. So as we continue on, let's talk about that national registration campaign. Big goal of getting 23,000 in 2023. Well, in the last 2 years, 21 and 22, we achieved just over 13,000 new registrations. So that gives you a sense of what we're envisioning. We're shooting for the moon and the stars to get 23,000 in 2023. But I haven't just come up with this number just because it goes with 2023. We've got some ideas on how we're going to do this. So we're asking you, the ambassadors, how do we increase the efforts? What do we need to do? How do we need to say it maybe different from what we are already saying to encourage more women that are currently serving, the younger women and our veterans, to register their stories with us? So what's an achievable goal by ambassador?
Excuse me, Phyllis.
Yes.
Your slides are really blurry and none of us can really read them at all.
Okay.
I did all that, and I'm trying to get closed captions on this too, but I can't enable them.
Let me see if I can help with the closed captions. So the slides are really blurry. Okay.
You can't read the text at all.
They're actually pixelated.
Well, that's good to hear you tell me that, in a way. Let's see if we try to reshare it again. Take it off from that. So that is any better?
Oh yeah.
Better.
Better?
Perfect.
Sometimes you never know. You take it off of share and back on, and now it's improved. Okay, so this is our goal of 2023, is trying to figure out what's an achievable number over the course of a full year per ambassador. And of course, the states are not the same, and we get that. So laying awake at bed at night, I'm thinking, could each ambassador perhaps drive 50 registrations per person at about 100 ambassadors? That'd be 5,000 right there. So we also are pushing a pilot program. We've been meeting with the mayor of Tampa and some other elected officials and senior people in and around the Tampa Bay area, which has a huge catchment of veterans. And they're looking forward to helping us with a lot of outreach in the area. And we're trying to figure out what that might look like. Once we get that one set in place, we're probably going to leapfrog and continue that into San Antonio and ultimately out to San Diego. There are certainly other areas in the continental United States that we could reach out to, but there's few of us working here full time, and then there's the ambassadors. So we're going to just start small and see where we can go from here. But the big question is, what can I do and what can our team here at the memorial and the foundation do to assist you in getting where we want to go? Now, because I've switched screens, got to figure out, there we go. Wreaths Across America. Another thing is, last year we had, and thank you for those of you that saw it and helped push it, the people that sponsored wreaths at Arlington National Cemetery through us. We had about 500 wreaths that were sponsored with us, and we already have 40 sponsored for this year coming in. But what Wreaths Across America, who they set up and basically used the memorial on Wreaths In Day at Arlington as their place where they do their radio broadcast and sort of their place for their people to be able to get in out of the weather. And we're happy to do that. But they were offering up an idea that they could give each state, our ambassadors, their own link, but it would be nested up under our big singular military women's memorial thing website for Wreaths Across America. And the question is anybody interested in having your own code where you could encourage people from your state, and we'd have the metrics then to be able to tell what each state gave or supported or sponsored. And they don't have to sponsor Arlington National Cemetery. If you want to claim one of the veteran cemeteries in your home state, you can certainly, we can set it up that way so that people are giving and making sure that those wreaths go into your state. The difference is, for every $15 wreath that is sponsored, $5 of that is then gifted back to whoever they partner with, in this case, us. And so our goal would be collectively to find a way to sponsor 5,000 wreaths across the country, which would then equate to a $25,000 donation that comes back to the memorial. So more food for thought. Don't need instant answers, but I would love to hear from you whether or not this is something you think you'd be interested in supporting. When I was still on active duty and I moved down, my last assignment was at Fort Rucker, Alabama. I had been up here in the DC area, so I'd laid wreaths up here at Arlington. There was a veteran cemetery, over 1,200 veterans laid to rest outside of Fort Rucker, that nobody had ever heard about Wreaths Across America, and therefore no wreaths were being laid there. From the time I got there and got it started, and I was already gone, but by the 5th year, they had it where the entire cemetery was blanketed with wreaths. And I think that's a really important thing that we might be interested in doing at the more local level. So that's one way that we can help the ambassadors to do that. Another one of the things that we're working on, a lady in the state of Michigan made this beautiful quilt. It is stunning. It's more like I want to frame it and put it up on the wall. I'd love to win this, but we're going to raffle this off as a online raffle. So all you really need is the QR code and a flyer. And anybody anywhere can buy these raffle tickets. Don't have to be present to win, but we're going to draw it on June 12th, which is the 75th anniversary of that landmark legislation that gave us all the right to have a full career in the military, the Women's Armed Service Integration Act. So, and again, for any large event between now and June 12th, if you have a need and desire and let us know with enough lead time, we can get this packaged up and shipped to you where you could have it on display. The quilt itself on display at an event, if it's big enough and worthwhile to you to do that. But we'll take care of the shipping both directions. So if there's anything that we can do, again, to help you share this opportunity with may not be just women veterans, but anybody that's interested in supporting us, but also potentially winning this full-size, beautiful quilt.
Yeah, Phyllis, just a quick question. I'm not sure. Hawaii is one of those rare birds. We don't have raffles. We don't have gambling. Can we do it online? That was the question. If I promote it online, will I get in trouble? See, we can't, like I said, we don't even say
Yeah.
raffle. So I don't know the answer to that, but I will find out because obviously it's gorgeous and we'd love to contribute.
Yeah, and I wish I had a good answer for you, Deb, but if you can let us know, because there are certainly some states, like when I hear about certain events or things happening, it's like not authorized in Oregon, Washington State, and some other state, I'm like, okay, well, so these are things I don't know. But in the state of Virginia, which is our home state and the one that we've gotten the permission to do an online raffle, I don't know that answer. If you let me know, I'd love to hear. So this is that piece. Save the date, folks. April of 2024 on this ship, the Odyssey of the Seas, we're going to do a women veterans cruise. So it's an 8-night Caribbean cruise. It actually departs on April 13th out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, stops in Curacao, Aruba, the Bahamas, and then on the 21st returns back to Fort Lauderdale. They're working with us. We're going to have a special first day reception, alcohol, everything included. So we get that meeting. And then we are also going to do 3 continuing education opportunities, 1-hour blocks during the course of the time when we're on the ship to basically let them know about the memorial, which I would hope most of these women that are coming would already know. But so many women that have registered, their stories are so nominal. They haven't fleshed out the meat and bones of their story. So we want to do sort of an education piece on improving their registration, but by showing them some of the stories that we have, like in our short videos, and then talking a bit more about them, saying the only reason we can tell as robust of a story about this woman is because her story in our database is this robust. So we want to encourage the women that come aboard to tell their story in a much more complete way.
So what's the cost of this cruise?
Well, they range. Hang on, I have it. I did.
Obviously, it's the first time I'm hearing about it, so apologize for the question.
No worries. So an interior cabin ranges from $1,185, and an ocean view is $13.99, and an ocean view balcony is $16.29 per person.
And do we have to guarantee any attendance?
Nothing. There is no requirement for us whatsoever. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. So, and more information is going to come to the ambassadors first. Is certainly the requirement is by October 3rd is a $250 down payment.
Do we make any money on this?
I'm sorry?
Do we make any money on this?
Yes, we will, provided there's at least 8 cabins booked.
Wow.
This
So-
is going to be unrelated income.
Yes, but we're probably between $10,000 and $15,000 at best. Unless we get a ridiculous amount of rooms booked, which I can't fathom.
How soon can we book?
We'll get the information out.
Even though I'm from these kind of islands, I mean, this is a huge draw. These
Yeah,
could-
yeah,
you
and
know,
that's the thing is,
yeah,
I
okay.
really I want to know which ambassadors are interested in doing this, simply because I need to know who can help in the educational components, the blocks that we're going to be offering, these information sessions.
Are we encouraged, allowed to bring our spouses?
Absolutely. This is only a women veterans
Okay.
ship. Oh, that's for sure. So
Okay.
yeah, we'd love to have people come in. As I said, the deposit is due. This information, I have a flyer. We'll get it to everybody, but bookings can be taken at any time. It's not for everybody, that's for sure. But it's $250 per person down payment due October 3rd. And final payment is due in January for an April cruise.
Phyllis, the prices are double occupancy, I assume.
I would assume so. But,
Thank
you
you.
know, like I just went out by myself and I didn't get any extra costs added to it. I think it's mostly for all the food because of course the food in that is what's can be expensive. But I have a short video. I'll send an email out to everybody that sort of gives an overview of this particular ship and all of the amenities and so forth that go with it. The only reason I'm interested in moving forward, we've not told anybody, you're the first people that we're talking to about this as a potential opportunity, is to see whether or not there's interest in doing something like this. But I think I see Deb's like, yes. But there's always, you know, the thing is, how do we reach out to people that aren't necessarily, how do we bring women together, not necessarily at the memorial?
Article in the paper. That's my plan. If you write the articles, this is the whole thing for all our marketing now. I see all the papers, if you read everything, the papers are dying. You have to submit your article. The more we have it pre-done, so all they have to do is run it. I just had it happen. And then you can do interviews after it, you know, whatever we do for it, not just the cruise, but yeah, that would be one. And also Facebook and things like that. But yeah, no, this is exciting. I think we need to have more fun. I mean, we have fun when we're together, but this is a way to have fun and do something. So yeah, great
Invite
idea.
Comcast, invite the Comcast special, you know, to Tana Anderson that you spoke to. Comcast would love to cover us. Our local Philly channel did the Philly women veteran bus trip down to the memorial, and they posted it all over the news that night. So we could get TV coverage easy.
And as you said, we could get sponsors in addition to getting the funds, right? We get the sponsorship because you're getting the money to come back anyway as a percentage of it. So that might be something too to help offset the costs for everyone.
Well, even if we don't offset the cost, a quick question I had was, can we invite women who are veterans and, you know, they're registered at the memorial, but they're not an ambassador?
This is not only for ambassadors. This is for as many people as we can possibly encourage to
Okay.
come to the cruise. As I said, this is like the first foray into, is there interest? Is there desire? Is there this opportunity? I think it's a great idea simply because other organizations that I'm associated with as well have taken their members and that on cruises. And it's a great bonding opportunity, especially if we have some kind of, educational pieces tied into it, where because of the number of people that they're anticipating we may bring, which they say all we need is 10 cabins, they would provide refreshments for and the venue for as many of us as show up for like these educational opportunities, as well as a reception the first night that we arrive. So
I think, sorry.
This is Carmen Suarez from Puerto Rico. How you doing? Hello to everyone.
hi, Carmen.
March is Women's History Month, so we're going to have a lot of activities here in the island, especially on base. There is an event that I know they have it on all the posts in the U.S. and the VA hospital. So if you can send us that flyer with all that information, we can pass it on and promote the events during the month of March and the rest of the events throughout the year. So yeah, definitely very interested in trying to get some of the active duty and the veterans in that group. So
I could be wrong, but probably not in this. I think you want to know how many people is the max. You got the min is 8. What's the max? I don't know how many people that ship takes or how many
The
have
ship
already
is
booked it.
massive. I don't think that's going to ever be a problem, especially because a lot of people don't tend to book a full year, even 6 months in advance. So they
The
want
ship
that to-
told about 3,500 paying passengers.
yeah.
3,500. Yeah, we get a lot of women veterans. I mean, it's not impossible, especially with the spouses and stuff. So I would just say when you provide the bumpers of what the min is and the max is, and then we start tracking how that's going, it encourages people to act as opposed to sit back. When you say, oh, anybody can come, no. And then you don't want them disappointed at the end when, at the very end, you give them the full expectations, manage those expectations.
I think we ought to do some like exploratory polling because this is pretty pricey for most people. You know, we have people who said $150 dinner was way out of their price range. So we really need to understand before we get ourselves too wrapped up in a very elaborate event, we need to understand what the appetite is at that price point, because there's going to be some pushback.
3,500, that's like just Florida alone.
3,500 what, veterans? Rich veterans?
No, I mean, on the cruise, you could just take women veterans from just Florida and fill up one boat.
But it's not free, they have to pay for it.
Hi, Phyllis. This is Robin from Texas. How are you?
I'm well, thanks, Robin. How are
We
you?
have ice storms going on, so
Oh, no.
it's crazy out there. Have we ever partnered with Roll Call?
With,
Roll Call. It's around the country. It comes together. You bring veterans together. They come to lunch. It's free for all veterans in Texas anyway. And we have platforms where we can talk about different venues. I can send you the information about our chapter here in Fort Worth, but it really is exciting. We have over 2 female veterans that attend. All the campaigns are represented. And it's really pretty emotional as well. We had a 103-year-old veteran female that was at the last meeting last Friday. So I encourage them to sign up. I mean, of course, they're not computer savvy, so I end up having to do a lot of extra work for them. That's fine. The other question or comment would be, I'm going to be an upcoming regent to DAR in my chapter here in Fort Worth. And I know DAR does Wreaths Across America because we do a bunch of grave sites here in Texas. Have we partnered with them on other events that we can propose their support? Because there's a lot of female veterans that are supporting the veterans group called Veterans Across America, which I'm a part of as well. So it's 2 different organizations, of course, Roll Call and DAR. And we're having a big convention here in Dallas, Fort Worth, 16 through 19 March. Is it possible maybe I can get that blanket, that quilt to that conference and have it pulled up at the convention, the DAR convention?
sure, send me an email and give me an address and so forth. And we'll be having it up on display at the memorial itself in the lobby entrance area.
You might want to consider having it posted at Congressional Hall there in DC as well, the DAR Congressional Hall. It's a pretty amazing place.
Yeah, the thing is that, and I am a daughter as well. So, and as a quick aside, the Daughters of the American Revolution, earlier in January, the national president let me know, Pamela Wright, that we'd invited them to our 25th anniversary gala fundraiser. And she was so impressed with it that she decided that they were going to donate $100,000 to us for our renovations. And then while I was on my vacation last week, she calls me again to say, we've decided we're going to increase it to a total of $250,000. So they're sending us another check for $150,000. Yeah, I know, right? Good news, because we need the capital side. We're not bringing in the kind of revenue that we absolutely must in order to keep really making meaningful forward progress. So this is huge for us. But yeah, with the DAR, you'll be watching. They're going to interview me in the next couple of weeks. We'll be talking about the national registration campaign and that goal of 23,000 this year, because a lot of the daughters, a lot of the chapters across the nation, they'll help do that outreach to find women veterans and get them registered with us as well. So it's a multi-pronged effort to get to that 23,000. But I'm almost embarrassed to tell you, I'm not familiar with Roll Call. So if you can give me any information on that, I'd love to know more.
I sure will. I'll send you the email. The last thing is, have you partnered with Gary Sinise Foundation?
We have. As a matter of fact, Gary Sinise was our award recipient, our Patriot Leadership Award recipient for our 25th anniversary. We implemented for the first time ever our annual Patriot Leadership Award. and he was the recipient. And so Kristen Barter is his chief of staff, and she's come and had a tour of the memorial as well. We have not yet made an ask for any financial support from the foundation. If I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. Okay. You guys have great ideas. Oh my goodness gracious.
Has anybody contacted LLB?
With regards to doing what?
Like a sponsorship or donation? It's a very big organization. I mean, they're based out of Maine, but they're all over the country now.
And we will be on June 12th for our 75th anniversary, be reinstituting the Margaret Chase Smith Leadership Award.
Right.
And this year we'll be going to the 3 individuals responsible for the lifting of the combat exclusion. It's the 10-year anniversary of that. And that is Ash Carter, posthumously for him, Leon Panetta, and General Dempsey. So those will be the 3 people that we're working closely with getting the date set for them. It'll be the 10th or the 11th of June that they'll be coming to receive their awards. We're also working with the White House because when the first ones were given 25 years ago, First Lady Hillary Clinton was the one that handed the awards to. And so we're working to have Dr. Biden present for trying to sort of like repeat history, if you will. So that's one of the things that we're working to do. Another thing next month is we'll have Jessica Lynch coming to the memorial. She'll be doing a fireside chat. It's the 20th anniversary of the start of the Iraq War. Hard to believe. It's like, how could that be that long? But she'll be coming and talking with us about that because there is a speaker's fee. We cannot live stream it. We are asking her next week whether we can perhaps record it as her oral history, because she really starts talking about it as a child and then why she joined the military and then what happened in the time that she was a prisoner of war.
What date is she coming?
That is going to be on
What
Sunday.
date will Jessica Lynch be there?
Sunday, March 19.
Back to DIR, is the Wreaths opportunity going to be communicated through them top down, or do we have an opportunity to do local connection? For instance, I'm speaking at DIR in San Diego Saturday and could bring up this Wreaths thing if I had the right information.
Yeah, Sandy, the thing is we're basically in competition with not only DAR, TAPS, you name all of the other organizations that have partnered with Wreaths Across America. TAPS, as an example, Bonnie Carroll, with Gold Star spouse herself, says they earn over $500,000 annually with that $5 per wreath.
Wow.
So
okay, I'm clear now. Got it.
Okay, so we are at odds, if you will, but we have not stepped up the game and the pace. Like as a daughter myself, let me tell you, my chapter regent and then the state regent certainly pounds us about the head and shoulders, sort of like, the CFC back when you were in the military. You will give. We can't tell you you will give, but you will give. It's the same kind of feeling, but I'm not saying that that's where I want to get to with Wreaths Across America and us, but it just makes a lot of sense to me that we might be able to find that way. But to that point, Sandy, is if we had each state had its own separate, here's your QR code, your web address, your link, the ambassador can choose which cemetery you want to sponsor this year. Maybe you change it up next year. But that's one of those things that we can do. I'm sorry, I can't read all of the chats at the same time. So if somebody can sort of review the chats, if there's something in there that I need to know about. I see Civil Air Patrol does this. What is this? Deb.
They do the Wreaths Across America. They with our cemeteries and stuff. And the other problem is, again, we're an outlier. It burns our grass. They only let us keep it for a very short time on the thing. And it takes a lot of money from our county councils I use it for Veterans Day Parade and other things. So it's also looking at all the different veteran requirements for the time. I'd rather do the cruise, and I'll get the sponsors. I'll for this one. There may be some other people, contact me. I think the cruise is a great idea, and we've got plenty of time to really get it. My brother just went on like 4 cruises. I mean, I've got connections of people who do it all the time and how to make it work. So
Perfect.
Yeah, and the wreaths, so this is Barb Kaharchek. I'm in Sumter, South Carolina. The wreaths across America here are sponsored by the American Legion and the VFW. They have the town of Sumter covered by and large, with wreaths going out to all of the cemeteries in Sumter County. And what I see is the problem is not getting the wreaths out. It is, as mentioned, getting them back up, because they turn into a quick mess in South Carolina when the temperature on the 27th or 28th of December is 85 degrees.
Well, the question then begs, you know, your memorial sits at the entrance to Arlington National Cemetery. They struggle every year to get enough wreaths sponsored. They're going to put all the wreaths out either way, because the Worcesters drive down from Maine to here and they spend the day. On Wreaths Out Day, a couple of Saturdays ago, Karen Worcester and the family, all the gals, they did a road trip and came down and spent the day with us as we had the wreaths removed, and we had hot cocoa and hot cider out on the plaza. So maybe it's just easier. We just stick with one URL, the national URL, and you encourage people to sponsor wreaths here at Arlington. Then you don't fight the Hawaii problem, or Sumter already is covered by, and now you're right. Some of those have gotten quite their arms around their local installations, local cemeteries, and you have a heck of a time getting in there. But it doesn't mean when somebody goes in to donate, it may say that ours is Arlington, but there's drop downs. You can choose a different location. You can choose by name an individual that you want their wreath taken care of. I see Susan's comment about she likes the idea with Arlington.
Yeah.
So what we need to do, we had really nice like postcard sized things that were co-branded: Military Women's Memorial, Wreaths Across America, QR code. You just bring it up on your phone. Thanks, Beverly. I see that. Stay with Arlington. Is you just bring it up on your phone, and for $15 you sponsor a wreath. Carol's thumbs ups too. Okay, so that sounds like I'm getting enough of that kind of feedback that we'll just stick with Arlington, because I know when we monitor it, it's really hard for them to get 240,000 wreaths sponsored. They're going to bring them no matter what. And sometimes it's an after the fact that they get enough funding for it. But thank goodness Walmart and other big companies do in fact donate the trucks and the gas, diesel, to get it down here and across the country to be safe. So what else can we do to make it a little bit easier for you? I see Sandy, I see Kathy, some hands up. Sandy, you first and Kathy next.
Okay, with this being such a unique year of the anniversary of the act that allowed women to officially serve, are there any things strategically that you're doing or that you plan to do with the memorial or with outreach with the media or something that we should be aware of or in the future be aware of, so that we can point people to that, kind of keep an eye on it, that kind of thing, or not?
Well, we are doing on June 12th itself, there'll be a big event at the memorial that we are planning to live stream that and record it so it can be up on our YouTube channel and people can view it after the fact. Janet, I know there's so many things buzzing around in my head right now, but you're right. The 75th anniversary of that is a big deal. And that's why we've started early, talking certainly with Congress, talking with the White House and other very senior people. But it isn't just about the senior people. It's about every one of us, all of us women, that sadly, these young gals that are just now joining, they don't even know what the Women's Armed Service Integration Act stands for.
Right.
So I think that's one of those educational pieces, honoring the past, but also informing the future.
Maybe I can do some sort of a live stream from the Margaret Chase Smith Library here in Maine.
Yeah, we've reached out to them as well. They've gotten fairly small compared to how engaged they were
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Well, you're doing the leadership award for Panetta and those guys in conjunction with June 12th, aren't you?
That's
Isn't
the
that
Margaret Chase Smith Award, yes.
right? Right. So, I mean, there is that. And I suppose there would be some level of media releases associated with that. So,
Recognition. Identification of someone or something or person from previous encounters or knowledge.
Beverly, you're not muted.
Oh.
It's okay.
so I think Sandy's question is probably pretty good. Are we planning anything that reaches outside of Washington, DC around that event, whether it be a short video or something like the sizzle reel that would go out nationally, and it would dovetail with the registration campaign, because you're trying to get younger women to understand that the Armed Forces Integration Act enabled their service, and therefore, the idea of telling your story, recognizing your service by registering, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand.
Mhm. That's a great idea. And no, we have not yet gotten onto that bandwagon, but I think it's a brilliant idea. So
And when I think about, the news is always looking for some sort of good news to wedge into all the bad news we're always dealing with. March can almost be the tickler of, even though it's Women's History Month, there's a great big anniversary going on, and we've got some celebrations coming up. And then you've got June later, but that's it. Thanks.
yeah, Kathy's next, and I see 3 hands raised. I'll get to that. Kathy?
Yeah, and actually, I see Carolyn has her hand raised, but I have the same question she posted about maybe getting a high resolution image of the quilt, and maybe we can make a poster. I'm going to an event in 2 weeks. I don't think it's going to be that big, but I'd like to at least get the poster up there if I could.
What's the best way to get, yes, we do have like we have a very good high res photo of the quilt, and we're still creating the raffle site.
Oh, okay.
And then we'll have the QR code. It'll be done by this weekend. So
Oh, okay.
once that's done, then the best way to get it out to all of the ambassadors, the question is, do we put it on the Facebook closed group files and you just pull it down from there? Does it need to be emailed out to everybody so you have it that way? That's always the question. How do we
Okay.
get it out to everybody?
Well, if you put it on the Facebook page, then anybody who uses the Facebook page would be able to pull it down anytime they wanted to. But there are some people who are not very active Facebookers, so I could email it out to everyone in addition to having it on the Facebook page. The Facebook page means it's readily available anytime you want it, but we can also double tap it by emailing.
Okay,
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you.
perfect. But thank you for that, Kathy. Who have we got next? Let's go to Bobby Oates.
Hi there. I was wondering, is the memorial working with the Vietnam groups that are recognizing the 50th anniversary of the withdrawal from Vietnam?
Yes, ma'am. Boy, are we ever. So we've got some big events. We've got Diane Carlson Evans that will be coming, but May 11 through 13. I get the end of March. I completely understand that, but May 11 through 13 is a big, massive days of ceremonies here in the Washington, D.C. area. There will be it'll look like an army is setting up, if you will, of white tents down along close to the Vietnam Wall. We will have one of those tents telling some of the stories through poster boards and other things of women and it runs all the way from November of 1955 to May of 1975. That is the recognized Vietnam era. Any man or woman, most recent data from the VA says there's approximately 300,000 American women that served in that basically 20-year time frame. So we'll be out there, one, to thank them, to try to get some of their histories recorded. If they're not yet registered, get that done, but to also just inform America about the incredible work that these women did, not necessarily all in the combat zone, but wherever they served around the globe, their work was important. And we have to make sure that we champion that for both the men and the women. Not everybody went to Vietnam, but they all served in support of it. And I think that's the important thing. And so, yes, we've got a lot of events going on, as well as things that are happening at the memorial itself.
What is the significance of those dates? Is there any?
I don't know. There's a Vietnam War commemoration Department of Defense appointed group, and this is the dates they chose.
Okay.
I think because it goes through May 15th of 75. I don't know, other than it's, 73, you could argue is the end, but then they're saying it goes all the way through until May of 75 for the actual official ending of that era.
Okay.
Because I know the airspace.
How do I put a raise my hand on there?
Is that you, Carol?
How do I raise my hand on this? How do I raise my hand?
There's a reactions thing at the bottom.
Got it.
Phyllis, are you gonna be looking for any volunteers for that Vietnam veterans?
We'd love to have anybody and everybody that can come down and help us. Absolutely. We'll get more information out on these things. And that's why having this first conversation and realizing, because we're too close to the problem, we know it. And so it's like, we forget to tell other people. So let's keep moving down the line here. I want to get to Kathy Sylvia. Then I've got, boy, all I see is El Tanaka.
Lenora,
thank you.
Phyllis, so similar to what you're doing, and I have Donna Lowry's book on the Vietnam women that served. Similar to that effort, there is this might be unknown, it kind of links with your Wreaths Across, but of the 66 women during World War II that were actually prisoners of war for 33 months, the last living Baton Angel was what she was called, was actually buried in the Philadelphia area, Newton, PA cemetery. And she has an amazing gravesite. She is a POW. She was in the Corregidor, Baton. One of my uncles actually served World War II. He liberated Luzon. So it's kind of personal, family-wise to me. But I was thinking in some of your gatherings with the three awesome gentlemen that basically removed the combat exclusion. It's just really cool that these women that served earlier, had they failed miserably, we would not be where we are today. So
yeah, I think, Kathy, one of the things that let's have a sidebar on this is, okay, National Nurses Week is always May 6th through 12th. And so we are looking to do something to recognize certainly the nurses, not just in Vietnam, but onward. So that might be a great tie-in. So Lenora, let's go to you.
Hi, I'm Lenora Tanaka, and I'm from the state of Washington. So great to see all of you beautiful ladies. I miss getting together, but I was so grateful to be there for the 25th anniversary celebration and can't wait to get back again. But just wanted to ask you if this upcoming cruise that we've got scheduled, which I would be on so quickly if it were not for me becoming Commodore and having that real tremendous demand for that year. Any chance that we'll make this an anniversary cruise?
Well, let's see how the first one goes. And there'd be no reason that we couldn't, if it goes swimmingly well, why wouldn't we do it again? But,
Awesome.
I'd hate to say to yes again, and then find out the first one failed miserably. So, but great question.
Okay. Yeah, and so the other thing I just wanted to add, earlier we were talking about ideas to get more women enrolled. And one of the things I'm doing this year is I'm going to the local big bases like JBLM here, which is just outside of Tacoma, Washington. And we've got our amazing VA hospital that is just right there near JBLM. And so I'm just setting up a table with our banner and trying to reach the women as they're coming into the clinic or what have you. And I really was so happy when I was there for the 25th anniversary, when Jan had put up the numbers for the different states and how we were doing with our enrollment. And I was really happy to see Washington doing so well. And so hopefully that will increase. But my goal personally for this year is about 100 to 125, and that would well surpass what we've done. So I encourage all of you ladies to try to look at what's local to you for your bases. It's amazing the support that I've gotten from mine. So just, you know, an idea to throw out there.
Lenora, can you expand on that a little bit? Because obviously one of our big desires is to get to the currently serving younger population of women who serves. Can you elaborate for everybody a little bit on what you're doing or planning to do at the bases to try to get in front of some of the currently serving women?
Absolutely. So one of the things at JBLM is, of course, their, well, I'm sorry, I'm Air Force, so I call it the BX, but I believe they call it the PX there. But I will just set up a table, and I've got the banner, I've got all the information, the enrollment forms, and I just catch them as they're coming in. Hey, have you heard about our Women's Memorial based out of the entrance of Arlington Cemetery? We have a beautiful museum, and they're just like, no, I'm really sad to see how many of these young women don't even know we exist. So that's really it. It's pretty simple. Same is true with our VA hospital right at the entrance. You can't miss these people coming in because that's the only way in for them. And so that's pretty much it. You know, the table I set up is the exact same one I do for our different events when we're honoring women. And so there's different things that they can see that I put on that table that really catches their eye and makes them want to stop. And so I'm definitely an extrovert. I can reach out to people very easily. So I find it very simple to just, you know, do that. So, and I usually will be there from anywhere from a 4-hour window. Sometimes I'm there as much as 6, depending on how successful it is with reaching out. And if I'm in the middle of talking to one of the gals and somebody just happens to be walking by, they'll stop for a minute, but they don't want to wait to let me finish because they're in a hurry. I'll just slip them one of the pamphlets as they, you know, continue on. And so I don't know how successful that part of it is because I can't follow up on that. I don't know who that person is, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So
the question is, who did you contact at the BX to be able to set up a table?
Yeah, so a lot of it is the oh gosh, it's the public relations office actually that I'll ask them permission to be able to reach out and do things. And once they say, yeah, that's good, then I'll reach out to the actual PX manager and say, hey, you know, this is the day I'd like to come. Can I do that? Same is true with the VA hospital. I'll go through their PR person, and then I just get permission and I can set up with that date that I've cleared with them. So, you know, it's usually just a 1 or 2 person link, and then I'm doing it.
That's really helpful. Okay, we've got like 7 or 8 hands raised. Barbara, let's go with you next, Barbara. And then Carol, you're next after that.
Thank you. I'm just going to go on behind Lenora. I've been out at the BX with Shelley Langston, you see there on the screen, at Shaw Air Force Base. And the BX manager was sure, come along, we'll give you a table and chairs, do what you like. Also at Shaw, the senior enlisted advisor to the wing commander is a woman, Chief Master Sergeant. I'll be meeting with her later this month to talk specifically about the Women's Memorial, but she's very receptive. And I think she's going to give me a chance to speak to the Chiefs group and perhaps whatever the other organizations are. I mean, it's all changed so much since I was in. I don't know who's got what organized, but certainly the bases. The other thing I would offer is the local newspapers. Sumter has a civilian newspaper. There is a Shaw News that is published up in Camden. And that editor up there is more than willing. In fact, after we're finished here, I'm going to be sending her stuff to put an article in the paper for next week, which is something to the effect of what better Valentine for your military woman than a registration to the memorial. And she's on board. She said, whatever you want to do, you just send it to me, I'll put it in. So I think those kinds of opportunities exist. I've had pretty good success with both the civilian newspaper and the woman who's the editor for the Shaw News. I don't know if she publishes a paper for Fort Jackson or McIntyre Air National Guard that are fairly nearby. Two things. You ask, how can we help? If you have press releases that come out from up there, I want a copy, because it's a whole lot easier for me to take your copy for generic information about things and duplicate it and send it to the newspaper or send it to the radio station. You know, if they get it, they'll use it. If they have to make it up, no. So if that, I would like to see press releases that go out for global events, not so much the specific stuff there at the memorial, because a lot of folks from South Carolina are not going to troop 95 to get up there. It ain't going to happen.
Right.
But and the other thing is the letter of introduction, you know, that part of that packet, filling that out to be an ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like a copy of that letter that I can take to the mayor, because his name wasn't on the list of names of people that I filled out on the form. Who can you notify to be an ambassador? And I don't know who got notified in the state of South Carolina that I'm now an ambassador, but I'd sure like a letter of introduction from my mayor, you know, for the mayor of the town, that sort of thing.
You can use the generic letter that you get for any office that you go to. So rather than us trying to write hundreds of letters for every person that you might be wanting to be in contact with, use that generic one. You can put a cover note on top of it. I'd like to introduce myself, and you attach your letter of introduction that each of you get and use that to go to your mayor's office or what have you. That's the easiest way to make that work. And that's why you get that generic letter.
Okay. Thanks, Shelley. You should talk to them about the issues that you've had with the VA in Columbia.
Well,
and getting access.
I have. Yeah, Jan knows, and we've gone over this for the last 2 years. I mean, more than that I've been told by the legal office, you know, from the representatives. I've talked to Rose Hudson, and the legal officer out there will not allow me to come to the VA and talk to the women.
Shelley, wasn't that, you know, we got that MOA signed with the VA headquarters. That hasn't helped at all?
I haven't talked to them since I was told no. I haven't really gone back out there, but because it's been the same people in charge.
So, having been a VA employee, the issue there is they have a non-solicitation clause on federal property.
Yes.
Right, and because our brochures have donation information.
Correct.
On them,
However, I've spoken to women veteran program managers and asked just to put the QRC, you know, or if there's some gals in the waiting room and I happen to walk by, I talk to them and ask them if they're registered and give them a QRC. So that's.
Well, the other problem is I can't use the facilities out there anyway. So that's kind of a, you know, it's not like I can just go out there.
Oh, here's
I can't
a
use
wild
the
one. I'm the PA ambassador on the Western Central side, and I don't even use any of the PA veteran sites because I go to West Virginia. That's closer.
Okay, I'm gonna run. We've got 6 people still with their hands up. So Carol Ron is next. Joy is after her, and then Charlene, and then we'll get to Joaquina, Susan, and Robin. So Carol, you're up.
Hang in there on the VA. Took me almost a year. Same issues. They have a copy of the MOA. What I did was resubmit my request to be out there. It did not go through the women's program. It went through the volunteer affairs department. So don't assume it's a PA or a women's veterans thing. It didn't go through that for me. All I did was reprint the registration part of the trifold and took out the thing that asked for a donation. So I just have plain sheets of paper and they fill up for that. I'm now doing that quarterly out there. And I have my next one in March. I get anywhere from 7 to 15 people sitting there. So don't give up on the VA medical. You just have to work because each one is different, honest to gosh. We don't have a PXBX. There's no active military bases in West Virginia, but there are National Guard bases. And I've been out there twice to the one that's in Martinsburg, and 2023 is my year of traveling. Now that I've gotten into the VA Martinsburg, I can use that to leverage to the other VA medical centers in West Virginia. Hey, I'm already there. They approved it. And through Jan and a connection, I'll be doing a veterans outreach program down at a Army National Guard base somewhere else in West Virginia, hoping to leapfrog to other things, because getting the connections in a place without active military bases has been kind of challenging. But now I'm moving forward. On the getting more people, last year I set a goal for West Virginia. Again, depending on who you talk to and what site, there's about 10,000 women military, guards, women, or veterans in West Virginia. It's not target rich, but I set last year for 50. That was my second year doing this. I think I got either 62 or 72. So I'm happy for that. This year I'm setting my own goal of 75, but I'm telling you ladies, I might just go ahead and move that to 100 for West Virginia. And because I'm going to be traveling, and hope that works out. I've put it everywhere, sign me up for the cruise. I've got 3 people right now. I think I'm going to ask her to go. She can afford it. It's not unbearable, but whatever. So yes, and thank you for doing this. I think it's any kind of innovation or change. There's 100 of us, but there are others who just might want to do that, who maybe couldn't make it to the anniversary where we had hundreds of us there, but maybe a cruise is something she would want to do with a partner or a spouse. And just if I could get confirmation that it's Sandy from California that has the really good presentation on military women's history, you can put that in the chat and I'll reach out to you for that, because I got a presentation coming up in March. So
Sandy.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Joy.
Yeah, my question is a little different. Is the memorial going to be closing anytime this year for renovation? No. Not at all. Okay.
No. The soonest it would close would be like after Veterans Day of 24.
Okay.
And that's provided we raise the money that we need to raise. It may well be a year past that, but no, it will not be closed at all this calendar year.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Charlene.
Thank you. Thank you. It's,
Thank you for your patience all.
It's good to see all of you. When we had the October meeting, I really wanted to get down and be with everybody, but we had our 50th class reunion from Walter Reed Army Institute of Nursing that weekend. And one of the things that Anka put together was a tour. And so most of us went on that. And as Phyllis might recall, we ended up at the memorial. My classmates were just really tickled that the 2 of them hadn't even ever heard of it before. So we got there and Phyllis gave us a wonderful tour of the memorial. As we ended our meeting, we talked about when are we going to get together again. And guess what people wanted to do? They wanted to go on a cruise. So I think right now we have about 20 people, and I'm going to suggest that we just kind of join together, right? That we could come on that, and I think that would be great. I think we would like that very much. We are Vietnam era nurses, by the way. And I'll post a picture at some point on our Facebook page there of those of us who were on the tour. And Phyllis took our picture against the Vietnam exhibit that we have there. Do you remember all that, right? And
I do.
so it was just really nice. And none of the people who came to the reunion had been to Washington, D.C. in the interim years. We graduated in 71 and nobody had been back. So on that tour, it was not on the tour to see the Vietnam related places other than the wall. And of course, you know, we have the 3 men statue and then we have the nurses statue also. And so showed that, and just the pride is wonderful. But several of the people who didn't come said that because they had been in Vietnam, they didn't want to have anything more to do with the military. So I haven't been able to get them to sign up or anything. Oh, and so then on that, we have a little, I'm in northern Iowa, and we have a little VA clinic in Mason City, Iowa, and that's where I get my health care. And every time I go, I have my cards and my brochures with me. And if I see a single woman, you know, sitting by herself, I'm over there saying, "Are you a veteran?" And I connected with 33 of them this year. And several of them said they were going to sign up. Whether or not they have or not, I'm not real sure. And then for the bigger things, I have to drive all the way down to Des Moines, which is a 2.5-hour drive. But I do the same thing there. I take my materials there, and just any woman that I see, I just talk with them, and so have handed out brochures and cards a lot. So I just take advantage of what I have. Not a lot of big events in Iowa, but I take advantage. And the one last thing then is I have made friends with a gentleman who has a weekly radio show here locally. It goes out through the county, and I have now been on his radio program 3 times, and he lets me talk about the memorial and asks people to get in touch with me and things like that. So, and he always mentions, now, don't forget, you can always make a donation to the Women's Memorial. So we train him well. But so thank you for the time. So good to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arlene. Joaquina. You're still muted. There you go.
Hi.
Hi.
So Happy New Year, everyone. I wanted to thank everybody for everything that they did for the 25th, because my family was there. So it wasn't just me, and they're still talking about it because we hadn't been together in 2 years, the 4 of us. So it wasn't just us being together, but they had a blast at the 25th. So thank you, everyone. I was just curious as to if you could give us a short review of any feedback that you got, or that's going to make any changes in the way that we should be reaching out to folks. I had another question about honor flights. The honor flight here in Southern Colorado received an email from Donna about them having making sure that all the women on their honor flights are registered. And I was kind of trying to work it from this end too. Now they have an all women's honor flight coming in April, and they're already doing their fundraisers. They already have their lists and stuff. And I've asked them, you know, to not wait till the last minute if they needed help from me to make sure that their women are registered. And it's not just the veterans that are going free, it's also the guardians, but I believe they have mostly women guardians going. And I don't know if headquarters from Ohio is letting you know. How is it that you're getting the information? And if the honor flights, there's 3 groups of honor flights, I believe, here in Colorado, and I can contact them, but if they don't let me know, or it's the same thing with some of the VFWs, they just don't get back with me.
Yeah, that's a great question, Joaquina. I can tell you that we network very closely with the leadership of honor flights writ large, and then reaching out. So we already have on our calendar for this year over 115 honor flights that are scheduled and known to be coming to us. And that's when we then reach out to them, asking for a list of any and all women veterans, not just those that are the part of the honor flight, but as you said, the guardians as well. Anybody, even those that are the medics. If they're a woman veteran, we'd like to know so we can check to see if they are in fact registered, and then we turn it back to them to say, these people are not. Can you please get them registered? Here's the steps. But it'd be great, obviously, to your point, Joaquin, if you or any of the ambassadors in any state can help assist that locally, because what happens when an honor flight arrives, whether it's 1 or 2 women or the entire honor flight is all women, we try very hard to have that registration printout given to them. They have a hard copy to take home with them. And it's super meaningful. We call them up one at a time and we give them, read a little bit about them. And what's really compelling is when it's a mostly men honor flight, and the women didn't share a lot about who they were and what they had done. And when we read some of their stories, as we're calling these women up, these guys are like, holy crap, we had no idea that somebody like that was on our bus with us. So it's been really fun to be able to do those things. But sometimes, to be fair, an honor flight pulls up out front of the memorial and they start unloading. We had no idea, because many days in the honor flight season, we have 4 and 5 different honor flights at the same time at the memorial. We're the only place in DC that they visit that has an inside. Think about the World War II, the Korea, the Vietnam, it's all outside. So whatever the weather is, so for them to eat lunch or dinner, guess where it's typically at? Yep, the Women's Memorial. So not always, but when it is, we can be like jam-packed busy on certain days of the year. So as I said, now we have more already pre-booked than we ever have. And part of that is the outreach we've done. So that's a good news story.
So I'm just wondering, when you know that these honor flights are coming in from the States, can you let us know or refer them or let the folks know who are in charge of those honor flights that we have ambassadors that, I mean, I would be very willing to sit down. I mean, that would be great if they were coming to me instead of me trying to find them with all, just like I do with all the others. I'm traveling too. Carol said.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, let me think about that, simply because we basically have 20 full-time people that run the memorial and the foundation. And so just trying to book the honor flights and do what we're trying to do and deconflict, and then trying to remember in every state who's the ambassador, let her know, hey, we got these folks coming on this date. I don't know who we would ask on our team to do it.
Phyllis, is there not an honor flight organization in every state?
Yes, and in some cases, there's multiples in states.
Right. So one of the things you might be able to do is get a connection into the honor flight organization for your state, since honor flight is a national organization with state subsidiaries.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a good connection for you to have with the honor flight organization for your state, and that would help you then get connected. They know who you are, and you can help get their women veterans that are on the flights registered. It might not always be convenient to you location wise, depending on where they're going out of. But I know, I don't think Jill Henry's on this, but she's actively involved in the honor flight for her state, and actually registered most of the women that were coming on that honor flight. So yeah, I think we have to work it both ways. I don't know that it would be an easy thing to like keep an updated list of honor flights available, but if the ambassadors try to connect with the honor flight organization in their state, and we can talk about, is there a master list somehow that could be posted to the Facebook page? I don't know. That's kind of a lot of administrative work to try to keep good points of contact and stuff like that. So I think we should take a look at it, but I'm with you, Phyllis. I'm not sure how you would manage to keep that up to date.
Yeah. But I'll think on that, Joaquina. That's a really good point. Absolutely. Susan, you're next, and then I've got Robin.
Thank you.
All right, can you hear me?
I can.
All right, thank you. So the nice thing about waiting is several of my questions have already been answered. So that's a good thing. I want to let you know that I wear a dual hat because I'm an American Red Cross Service to Armed Forces volunteer also. So I have access to the VAS, or Veteran Affairs Voluntary Service, which is now the Center for Development and Civic Engagement. So I'm able to then put my cards on a table that we have at our VA. One of the issues with Montana is we're rural and we're big, and we're also seasonal. So we do have one active duty base at Malmstrom Air Force Base. It's about an hour and a half away from me. That would be on good roads. So one of the questions I have is, I know Sandy, you've put together a great way how to enroll deceased female veterans. Is there a way to have that in a step-by-step, or if it's out there? I have a list of a bunch that I looked through in the obituaries, and I would just like to go ahead and get them enrolled. The second part of that is, that's the second part. That's the only thing I have now. Everything else was answered for me.
Oh,
So
wow.
again, thank you guys so much for putting this together, and for everybody joining in and giving great ideas. I think I've written quite a few stuff down, and I'll go ahead and pursue those and hopefully get more women from Montana enrolled. Thank you.
Thanks, Susan. Before Robin jumps in, Sandy, do you want to respond to that?
Gotta find my mute button. It's, you know, I'm of a certain age. Every app is different. I was just going to say, and I'll put it in the chat. I think that is a wonderful resource. The Library of Congress veterans thing. I can't remember the exact thing. I did put something in the Facebook page about it, but please reach out to me. I'll give you a one-on-one tutorial. I'll share my screen. I'll show you how I did it. It is. I got carpal tunnel last year because I was so enthusiastic about these wonderful stories, and of between Michigan and California, I think 800 names I saw, half of them weren't in our registration. It's really rewarding in a way that's quite addictive. I need to get back started on that. Pick another. If there's anybody who wants help with the state, I'd be more than happy to help with it, because I do it while I'm watching TV. So drop me a line. I'll put my email in there again. I'd be happy to do one-on-one or support somebody. Over.
Thanks, Sandy. Robin, you have been so very patient.
I forgot my question. I know I've got just a couple comments. I sent everybody the roll call information. It is US wide. So please go to your hometown roll call partner, and they will help you police out some of these women veterans as well. Secondly, I am the member of the DAR. I'm the Honor Flight Director for Texas. So we've said it's very hard to get them to tell you information in a timely manner. So it's very difficult. So if you can partner, ours is regional, so we have like 8 of them in Texas. So you have to get with each one of those honor flight organizations, and then fiddle out exactly who's going to be on that flight. But I have encouraged them all to visit the memorial if there are definitely women on it, because many of them don't know about the memorial as well. And then lastly, there's another person or organization I think we should consider. It's called hometownheroes.org. And I'll put that in the script here, hometownheroes.org. It's a social media campaign to bring out hometown heroes in your local area. And then they put them on Facebook, and you have live videos and stuff like that. But it's been very helpful in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for us to fish out our veterans, especially our women veterans. So it's a great organization. It is US wide, and it is a nonprofit as well. So I'll put that in the chat here in just a second. But other than that, thank you, everybody. It's been a great meeting.
Robin, is there a master list of honor flight organizations, since you're involved with honor flight? And you say there's 8 in Texas, for example. So does honor flight have a master points of contact listing someplace that we might be able to leverage, or?
It all depends on your region, because I know Dallas Fort Worth gets their sponsorship through Southwest Airlines. And San Antonio gets it through Delta or United, gets their free flights. Houston is definitely United. So they local with the local whatever the airline is that's going to provide the flight, and then that information gets put into the manifest. So literally it's like a 30-day event that goes out. And they're primarily in the summer because the winter months are so hard, especially on the older veterans. So anywhere from April to September is when we do most of our honor flights in Texas. But
Yeah,
again,
Marissa McCarter put on a link to honorflight.org, find a hub. So, and Kathy Sylvia says there's 120 hubs. So I guess check out that link and see if you can find people to get in contact with.
Marty, you've raised your hand now.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's had this. I was invited to the ladies' tea at New Hampshire Veterans Home. And I'm trying to figure out, is there a way to make it easier for the registrations from a veterans home?
What does that mean?
It's basically the retirement home.
No, I mean, what do you mean by make it easier?
For when we register the ladies in there, do we just put their address as being at the New Hampshire Veterans Home? Is that the way to do it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because that was one of those where they got all excited about the getting together with the women in the home. So that's another thought, that if there's veterans homes within your states, that might be able to get some of the ladies from that generation, especially hear their stories.
And it doesn't even have to be the veterans homes. I'm on the civilian side, I'm a registered nurse, and I've worked long-term care. And as a director of nursing at one of those, I was shocked that on Veterans Day, there was no recognition of anything. And turns out there were a lot of men veterans, but when we asked any veteran to raise their hand, of course, there's women's hands that go up as well. So they're hiding in plain sight, any place. It's just a question of asking the question. Jan and I recently, there was an email sent from, I think it was one of the ambassadors, Jan, that was a little off-put the fact that, I also use the VA for my healthcare, and to be sometimes confused or thought that I'm waiting on a male veteran. So I must be there to drive them or pick them up, or I'm married to, or whatever the case may be. And we're having this conversation now with the senior leadership part of the VA, with the idea of how about you just address every person that's in a VA medical center with the first question of, just presuppose that that woman is the veteran, as opposed to that you're not the veteran. I mean, they don't do it to the guys, so don't do it to the females. So I thought that was interesting.
That was Shelley that got that.
Yeah,
feedback.
good ideas. So two things, I will be traveling, not a great deal, but I will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth area the third week of March. So I'll be reaching out to make sure I'm in your hometown area. Maybe we can at least meet for lunch or dinner, Robin. And then Lenora, I'll be in the Seattle, Tacoma area. Darlene, I don't know if Darlene's on this or not.
She's not.
But we've got quite a few on the chat. We've got 77 chats and 33 participants. Means we're chatting quite a bit, which is great. But Darlene is worked to have me come out to do a speaking engagement, and now several other organizations have glommed on. I'm gonna, I don't go out that far, certainly for one speaking engagement. It's like, how many can we get? So Lenora, let's talk if there's more to be had. I reached out to Denise, who's now, I see Denise's hand. She's, go ahead.
Well, I did give you the point of contact for the Warrant Officers Association,
You
right?
did. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I'm stuck in North Carolina now, so.
I know. No more Puyallup for you, huh?
Phyllis,
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
what's your dates that you'll be here?
The dates, it's around the third weekend of May. like
Okay.
18, 19, 20-ish of
Perfect.
May. I haven't
Okay,
booked the travel yet, but they're still seeing what speaking engagements. So I'm willing to push the dates left to right a little bit. But
Okay,
there's some
great.
big parade, like that weekend. It's like the biggest one west of the Mississippi or something.
Yeah, so that's Memorial Day weekend coming up. So I'm wondering, you know, it could be a few things, but we'll chat for sure.
That's like, what's that third weekend in May? It's
Armed Forces
military.
Day?
I'm sorry?
I think it's Armed Forces Day.
That's it. Armed Forces Day. Because I know I'm back here at the memorial for Memorial Day. I cannot miss that. Are there any other
Okay,
hands,
great.
any other comments that we need to share?
Phyllis, this is Robin. When are you coming to Dallas Fort Worth?
I'm gonna have to send you an email. It's
Okay.
the third week of March.
Okay, our DAR convention is at the Dallas Fort Worth International Airport Hotel from 15 through 19 March. So if you can make that time, let me know and I can work in a top conference call or.
Yeah, I think I'm the week after that, to be honest with you, but I'm not sure. We'll communicate, but I can certainly, anybody that wants that quilt, if you can help us on that, you know. Sadly, we are a 501c3. We are a nonprofit. We do rely on the generosity of America. And as more Americans know about this incredible memorial and what we stand for, we are more likely then to have more revenue coming in. And that's the thing is getting these younger women to buy into their memorial now, not financially, but to register. And once they start getting those newsletters, hopefully you are all receiving the monthly newsletter through an email. If any of you are not, then we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem and we want to fix it because we want you to be able to share that newsletter out. Also, if you go to our website, womensmemorial.org, you go there, there is a tab where it lists, they're all archived. They're sitting there month by month by month. So you can get, February is about to hit the street, but the January one's out. And so we've got a lot of events happening for us as well as the virtual piece of it. Okay, well, this was a good start. I'm not sure if this is the best time for everybody, but we'll be sharing this back out with those that were unable to, or if you want to watch it again and get a little bit more of that information. We'll be going from there, but I want to do this at least on a monthly basis. You don't have to come every time, but I'd love it if you could. So thanks so much. And at this point, I will go ahead and stop the recording.